Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Social Media Help Desk. I'm Stephen Wagner. I'm the Director of Operations here at KWSM. I've got Taylor on my left, and I've got Ivana on my right,
Hi.
both content editors here in our Orange County office. And we are excited to be here. We've got some really excellent things we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about some things that are in the news, Twitter, Instagram, taking over some features from other people. Taylor's going to talk to us about really just how you can post multiple content, most of the same content on multiple channels. And then Ivana's going to talk to us about why your online reputation matters. Like, of course it does, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper into really why it does. So let's start with in the news a little bit. So September, as you may or may not know, September 10th was actually World Suicide Prevention Day. And so some of the social media platforms, obviously there's been a lot of negative press about social media and how that's contributing to depression and suicide and things like that. And so Facebook and other social media platforms are actually trying to prevent that. And so Facebook and Instagram have both sort of said we're going to remove content that might be negative or suicidal or things like that. And in addition to that, Facebook has also created a suicide prevention page, and that includes meetings with behavioral health professionals and some other great content there. So I think that's a pretty interesting thing that they're doing. What do you guys think?
I think there's a couple of different things here. I know in the past or in years we've seen a little bit of history of people turning towards Facebook to talk about some of these self-harm things or some of the other social media networks where it kind of harbors this behavior and it can really lead people down the wrong road, or it can kind of just perpetuate some issues. So I'm really happy to see that Facebook and Instagram are taking as much as they possibly can. I mean, there's only so much they can do as a business, but taking some steps to make this better for some people, especially when we know that it's a little bit of an issue on their platforms. So I think it's great to see that they're trying to combat some of those discussions online. I actually wouldn't have known that it was Suicide Prevention Day on the 10th, except that I had seen it on both Facebook and Instagram, a little bit on my Twitter page, people sharing, getting that message out there. So I think that there was a really great positive outlook on that that I kind of saw across all the social media channels.
Yeah, I noticed it a lot on Twitter just because hashtags trend more easily there. And I don't know what Twitter's really doing to kind of minimize that. I think they're a little more lax with their content, but I think it's good because, as for businesses that are so big, there's so many users, they kind of have a little bit of responsibility for that type of exposure. So I think that's really good that they're taking those type of steps to minimize that type of content being seen from a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. So pretty cool. I actually think it's really interesting that they're doing this and they're trying to influence the way that the general population is viewing this and trying to spread awareness for it. So I think it's pretty cool that they're doing that. So if you guys are interested, definitely check that out. You can just search for it on Facebook and it'll come up. So Facebook owns Instagram. Instagram is taking over the world. Instagram loves to steal features from other apps, right? Historically, right? Stealing stories from Snapchat, right? Recently they rolled out some stuff that they're stealing from TikTok. Okay. Now, you may or may not be surprised by this, but I don't use TikTok, right?
Well, I've never used it either.
I think we're a little outside of the demographic.
We were the Vine people.
And so now there's this new generation of kids who are using TikTok kind of as an influencer platform to get in front of people. And so it makes sense that Instagram, which is the mecca of influencer platforms, would want to be, getting a little piece of that pie here. Because it makes sense. They do, I'm sure Instagram has their influencers who split time between TikTok and Instagram. And so what I imagine is that Instagram is trying to bring this over so that more of the behavior and more of the action is happening on their platform, where they can control the advertising and so on.
So I'm wondering is it going to be tied into like IGTV, or is it going to be more tied into the stories? Like, I wonder how this is going to look, because I mean, TikTok, yes, it's video, but they kind of already have a lot of video incorporated in their stuff. I mean, you can put it on your normal feed. So I'm wondering how this is going to differentiate from all the other features.
Yeah, well, and I think it's interesting because I've seen a lot of people that I follow start experimenting with TikTok. Like they're on Instagram primarily, maybe a little bit on Facebook, but now they're starting to experiment with TikTok and like sort of being like, I don't know, is this something I should do? Like and it's like I think everyone is sort of like saying, is this the next big platform? Is this the next Snapchat? Like, and I think for the most part it is, but we'll see. But the features that they're rolling out are, so TikTok, it's all about like cutting a lot of short videos together, adding music over it, which Instagram recently rolled out with the ability to add like pop songs and things like that.
I love.
And so I believe that it's going to actually be just an additional editing feature that you can do, post in your feed or on your story.
Okay.
Either of those.
I think what's different is that Instagram has the business side of things, where at least for the most part, TikTok doesn't have that base of users that are using the platform to market their company. Maybe TikTok users are using it to market themselves and self-promotion, where Instagram, there's a big portion of Instagram users who are using it to market their businesses. Yeah. And so I think where Instagram is seeing is, okay, how can we bring over this feature to a platform where advertisers and businesses, like the ones that we represent, are spending ad dollars on this platform? What kind of additional features can we give to them before some of these other channels can do it?
I also think that Instagram is just they have a very wide demographic, but as far as TikTok, that's a younger demographic. So, kind of moving this into Instagram, I think the older people will be able to utilize it more, and in turn, businesses as well. So, it makes sense.
Well, I think it appeals to people who only don't want to get another app.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
extra effort.
Now I gotta go find all my friends on this app, and okay, cool, I can just make like a TikTok style video on Instagram, and like everyone can see it. Boom, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's cool. So check that out if you guys see that. That's kind of something new that's rolling out. And then Twitter is trying to make our lives easier, right? Twitter has finally come around to where if you upload multiple photos, you can actually, after you've uploaded them, you can sort them and say, I want this one to go first, this one to go second, this one to go third. And when I was reading about this, I was like, I mean, that's cool, but like, I don't upload a whole lot of pictures to Twitter myself. But also, like, what took them so long? A little bit? Like this seems like a pretty basic feature.
Something like that. I think it's only big for Twitter because Twitter is like, they're known for you're not able to edit your tweets. And so I think it's kind of like a bigger deal, I guess, just because that's the only way that you can technically edit a tweet. And I've noticed different things with Twitter. Like now, they just have newer features when you send a direct message. It pops up differently. They're doing little things here and there. I don't think they're gonna ever let you edit the copy, but I mean the photo thing's a step forward.
And I think Twitter's trying to combat sticking with what they know, and what they know has worked for the last 15 years or however long Twitter's been around, probably around that time. And trying to combat that with these other social media channels like Facebook and Instagram who are always innovating and always coming out with new things. Twitter's trying to find a way to incorporate that without losing, because people who use Twitter, much like Urbana and I, are very loyal to the platform. Not necessarily, we don't necessarily like change. So they're trying to balance that between making the customers happy, but then also staying relevant.
I agree, because Twitter is 100% like, people like it the way it is. They don't want to mess with too much. They don't want to turn into another Facebook, another Instagram, whatever. And Twitter users are notoriously vocal, right? And so if you do change something, if they get annoyed a little bit, it's going to be everywhere, right?
They'll use your platform to complain about yourself. They'll use Twitter to complain about Twitter. It's kind of funny in itself.
It is. So anyway, so check that out if you use Twitter. It's a cool little new feature that they've launched, and it's something to look at. So let's, Taylor, let's talk about using content on multiple platforms. Because there are some ways you can do this, and there are some ways you really shouldn't do it. And you have to be pretty careful, but at the same time, if you can do it right, it can be very valuable.
So I think one thing that we see a lot when we have either new clients come to us, new businesses, maybe we're auditing their channels, seeing what they're doing. A lot of times what we see is that they're posting the exact same content on all their channels. Now this could be for a couple reasons, maybe because they don't have the time, or they feel like they don't have the time to be coming up with new ideas. They're just doing their content once and then spraying it everywhere. Or maybe they feel like they don't have the ideas to be able to change it up, or they don't know any better. So there's a couple different reasons why you might be seeing this. But on the negative side, the reason we don't want to see this, and why when we do look at other businesses and we're auditing their channels, why we make the suggestion to change this practice, is because if you think about your fan base and your followers, and if they do happen to follow you on a bunch of different channels, they're going to be seeing the same thing all the time, and repurposing that content can get very repetitive. We also understand that business owners, people who are doing it themselves, may be under some constraints, and they are limited in their time and their content. So I think there's a way that we can do this so that you're still getting the most out of these different social media channels.
Yeah, I think it's important just, when I think about businesses posting the same thing, you have to think about, every channel is going to have a different type of demographic.
Exactly.
So if you're putting the same content on Instagram as Facebook, those are two different types of audiences, and so it might not resonate with both of them.
Yeah.
So it's just something to keep in mind.
So we recommend by starting off, that's the first thing I would recommend to someone is how well do you know your audience, and start to figure out some of that information. I wouldn't guess. I would start to look at your analytics and see on your different channels which content is doing better. Maybe your videos do really well on Facebook, but your text and your photos do much better on Twitter. And obviously we know that visual stuff is going to look better on Instagram. So even though you may have an event that you need to promote, and you want to promote it everywhere, because maybe your audience is on a couple different channels, but it's about what's the best way to show that on the different social media channels. We also want to change up our copy. We don't necessarily want it to be, we definitely don't want it to be word for word on all the same different channels for kind of all the reasons that Ivana and I just mentioned.
Yeah.
So one of the easy things you can do is take a look at what you're trying to say and write it a few different ways. Also what you know of those different channels. We know on Facebook there's a little bit more room to put some longer form content.
Right.
You can actually link to somewhere else. Or if we're talking about Instagram, you really have to get your message across, and maybe you're not verbally or in written word telling the story, but in the image that you choose, you are.
Yeah.
So we're taking a look at what you're trying to say and saying it in the best way for those different social media channels.
Yeah, and even with Twitter, I mean, you only have a specific amount of characters you can even write, and you can really utilize hashtags there. Facebook, you wouldn't really use hashtags. Instagram, a little bit more, but it's really important. You're not going to put the same word for word, because in Twitter, it's not even going to fit everything if you're going to write something really long. So it's important to keep that in mind.
Exactly. Another thing is visually. Think about the way that you use your social media platforms, and if you're scrolling across the different channels and you see the same photo more than once, even sometimes, especially more than 2 or 3 times, eventually the next time you see that, you're going to scroll past it. Even if there's new information, even if it's not the same post, even if maybe you haven't purchased that item yet, there's something in your brain that tells you that I've seen this before, I don't have time to interact with this post. So one thing that you can do for yourselves to reach more people and maybe grab the attention of people, because we know it takes a couple times for them to purchase, so we need them to be in that mindset and also take some action here. So by changing up the photo, changing up the video that you're using as your creative, you can, and we don't want to say trick, but you can convince someone to stop, pay attention, and maybe now they're ready to purchase whatever you're selling, to schedule a consultation to buy your product.
Yeah, that makes me think of, on Facebook, when you upload a video, it can really be as long as you want. Instagram, if you're uploading to your feed, you only have 1 minute. And so it would be good, if you have a longer video, just take the most important minute out of that video and choose that to upload to the feed.
Yeah. And the last tip I'll kind of leave you with is, if you do feel like you absolutely have to post similar content on all the different channels, or maybe you've applied some of the tips we've talked about, but now you have all your content ready to go, the best thing you can do for yourself is spread that out a little bit, so that they're not seeing on the same day the same photo on Facebook that they're seeing on Instagram. Sometimes you'll have a really high quality photo, or you will have an event or a promotion that's going on that you do need to talk about more than once, and on all your different channels. So if you apply some of those other tips and then take those posts and spread them out different times and different days, and mix in some of your other content, I think you're going to get a better response from your audience.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, no, it seems like, you want to get the most bang for your buck out of the content that you create, especially if you spend a lot of time writing a blog post, writing an ebook, creating a video. Man, videos take so much time. It's like you want to get the most mileage out of that, right? And so it's a good thing to use it a variety of ways. This is what you're saying. It's just you can't just use it the same way on all the different platforms, right? Switch it up. Post, a minute of it on Instagram. Post the whole thing on YouTube. Post it on Facebook, but vary it up, right? Maybe post the link to the YouTube channel on Facebook or on LinkedIn or something like that. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can take your content, a single piece of content, and use it in a variety of ways.
Yeah.
Just don't do it the same way.
Yes, exactly.
No
That's
copy
the one
and
key
pasting.
takeaway.
Yeah.
And this is also a thing about using something like Hootsuite or something like that, where it's their whole thing is create it once and blast it out on all these different platforms. It really will turn your followers off, because if you really have like strong followers, they're going to be following you on multiple platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're going to see that on multiple platforms, they're going to be like, oh, I already saw this. And then they're less likely to engage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah, no problem.
Super good. Ivana, let's talk about online reputation, because your brand's online reputation is super important,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And everyone knows this conceptually. They think they know it.
Mhm.
But let's talk about why. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of it.
Yeah, so everyone knows, one of the most important parts of your business is your reputation. And before the internet, we had word of mouth and surveys to really kind of get an idea of customer satisfaction in their experience. Now with social media and everything, we have so many different types of platforms and things that we can use for reviews. So we have Yelp, we have Google reviews, we have Facebook reviews, even something as Instagram comments. You
People complaining on
people
Twitter.
write,
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally everywhere. So it's super important that you are kind of tying down exactly how you're handling your reputation online and what you can do with these reviews to help and how it can hurt you as well. So I kind of broke it down to 3 sections. The first reason, customers trust online reviews more than product descriptions. And from a consumer point of view, I totally agree with this. When I'm online shopping and I've never bought a product before, say I'm looking for a new makeup product, girls are very selective with how they, pick out their makeup. Let's say if it's like foundation or something. The product description is only going to tell me so much about it. But if I go into the comments and really see what other people have already tried it before are explaining, then I can get an actual real idea, first-hand opinion of how it's actually going to be. And customers trust online reviews 12 times more than product descriptions. So it's really important that the reviews that are on your products, if you do have e-commerce, that the reviews are well written and they're actually legitimate of the product.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that brands and maybe you're an owner of a small business need to keep in mind is if you were the buyer or when you are the buyer in situations, how do you interact with products?
Right.
What goes into your decision-making process? I think some people, they know and they understand that they have this great product and they created it, so they stand behind it, but that doesn't mean necessarily that everyone else has the same understanding that you have, and it's your job as the owner or the marketer to convey that message to the audience in the best way possible.
Exactly.
I agree.
And so I also put a few tweets out there because I love Twitter. So I looked up a few tweets of just reviews in general, and Jenna C put, ordered a product online after seeing a friend speak so highly about it on her Instagram story. The power of social media and consumers' reviews. So it really goes to show, her friend talked about it, and so now she's gonna go and order it. And she didn't read the product description, it was just a recommendation from her friend.
And then she tweeted about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah,
which is even better.
Yeah.
It's similar to the power of influencers. I mean, that's kind of a whole nother discussion, but people who do interact with influencers and do believe in the products that they're pushing, that right there is because they feel like it's a powerful testimonial that they can stand behind.
Right.
Yeah.
They trust the people before they're going to trust the brand.
Yeah.
Before they even try anything, they're going to trust the people who've tried it before.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is star ratings are one of the top factors to, people use to judge a business. Which star ratings are super important. They can really help your business, or they can also really hurt your business. And I think we see this most on things like Yelp. When I'm looking up what restaurant to go to in LA or something new, if it only has 2 stars, I'm most likely not going to go there, but if it has 4.8 or 5 stars, I'm definitely going to go there. So I had 2 examples. The first one was a bad example. And so Celine put, update, I talked to a different driver, which I'm assuming she's talking about Lyft or Uber driver. If they get a 1-star rating, there's a possibility they get suspended or banned. So that's super important because there's, star ratings, they're that important to people. You can even get banned as a driver, as a worker, which is crazy to think, but they're that important to certain companies.
Definitely.
The good example was from Lions Club. Lions Club has received a 4-star rating from Charity for the 8th consecutive year. This puts us in the top 4% of all nonprofits with accountability, responsibility, and transparency. So even having a good star review puts you in a different type of category for whatever your industry is in. So it really makes a difference if you have a good star rating or a bad star rating.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like, star ratings are so important because not only is it help you on Yelp and Google and like all these other places, but visually it shows, like, if you Google something and you've got Google reviews, then in your Google result, it's going to say like 5 stars, and people don't even have to read them to know, oh, this is a good business because they've got like 15 5-star reviews, versus this is a bad business because they've got 15 3-star reviews, and a 3-star average.
Your star rating is your first impression a lot of times.
Yeah, and if you think about it, even like not even like Yelp, if you go onto the app store on Apple, if I'm trying to find a new app for say a photo editing app, I'm gonna go for one that has a better star rating than a smaller one, you know, and that's something simple. I would never read reviews on the App Store, but the star rating is gonna be the deciding factor for me.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the third one was review sites aren't slowing down anytime soon. People are constantly writing reviews. They're going to write online before they ever tell you how they feel about your business in person. And that's just how it is now in general with social media being so huge. People talk about their opinions, their experiences with businesses online all the time. And I had one last example, and this lady put, "Evergreens forgot my fork and water with my salad. Time for an angry Yelp review." So it just, I mean, it goes to show, she posted it on Twitter, and now she's gonna go to Yelp because they forgot her fork and her water for her salad.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's interesting because sometimes I'll talk to business owners or meet with them, and they'll say, oh, you know, I've got some bad reviews, but you know, no one really looks at those, or like, I'm just trying not to do that. And like, I think it's really important to understand that like these reviews matter, right, a lot. And even if you feel like your business is good, which it might be true, the public's perception of your business is not going to be good if you've got a 2, 3, 3.5 star review associated with it. And the other thing, especially with the products, I see this a lot of products don't have any reviews, right? And when you have no reviews,
really
yeah, you're like, okay, is this legit? Has anyone tried it? Like,
yeah.
What's going on? So it's important not only to, if you're getting reviews, to try to get good reviews, but if you don't have any reviews, to be proactive about going out and trying to get reviews, right?
And we also have a reputation management system here, a service that can help if you are struggling with bad reviews, or if you don't have enough reviews, we can help you kind of get on the right track, responding to, knowing how to respond to reviews correctly, knowing how to handle your reputation online, because the first place people are going to go before they even know your business is online.
Yeah, 100%. Very true, very true. Okay, guys, this is a fantastic week. A lot of great topics we talked about. We've got some interesting stuff coming up in October. We've got our social media boot camp here in Orange County. So that's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, 4 weeks, every Friday, 9 to 12 here in Orange County. Okay, we've been doing that for years. We also are teaching an Instagram-specific boot camp in October in our Atlanta office. So if you guys are in Atlanta and listening and are interested in joining us for Instagram, check out our website for that. And last but certainly not least, this Thursday in Orange County office, we've got our video studio day. So if you're interested in some low-cost, high-quality videos, you can come to our office. We'll shoot them for you. So again, check out our website. We've got a link there, a page there where you can sign up, or feel free to contact us directly, and happy to answer any questions you might have. Okay, until next time, see you later.
Bye.